What's good? It's The Wave, and we back with another reaction video. But like I always say, these are more so watch with me. Today, the Jubilee platform. We watched a few before. This is my favorite platform because it has a lot of dope debates. Today, I'm addicted to my phone. I'm not sure like you guys, but I for sure feel like I'm one of those who are addicted to their phone. So I feel like it'll be definitely interesting topic to get into. Like I always said, make sure to like and subscribe, comment some of your favorite moments at the bottom. We'd love to start some threads. So yeah, let's get right into it.
Influencer culture has led to so much mass overconsumption.
Thousands of children are dying.
It's just an amplification of problems that were there before.
It didn't matter like what age limit was on there. I was gonna sneak on and lie or anything.
This is Middle Ground, Stop Your Doom Scrolling. Today's topic of discussion, pro-social media versus anti-social media. Our first prompt is, I spend more than 5 hours on social media a day.
One of the great things about debates, specifically with this platform, is I love that they always have a pro side and like an anti side. So you definitely get like both sides within the argument.
Oh, easily. Oh, easy.
Prime time, baby.
Oh, it's bad. In defense, it's kind of my job. If I'm not on Instagram posting or like watching something, then I'm on YouTube definitely watching something because I don't really watch TV as much anymore. If I'm not on YouTube, I'm probably on TikTok. If I'm not on TikTok, well, those are really the only three I usually use. Keeping up with news, keeping up with people in my life, everything is through social media, so I'm on it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, social media is also my job, so, I mean, I'm looking at it like, okay, I'm looking for ideas, I'm looking for inspiration. For me, it just kind of works out.
Mm-hmm. And for sure, the age we in, that's why I think, like, this topic is such a taboo topic, for sure.
Doesn't really become an issue for me, and I'm also pretty self-aware, so, like, if I find myself just, what is it called, doom scrolling?
Yeah.
I'm pretty like, all right, I'm gonna go take a walk.
Your brain
touch grass, yeah.
Yeah. Brain rot a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're given the luxury of traveling the world from the comfort of our own homes, so it's just like, dude, like, there's nothing else to do. I hate my job, so sorry, I'm a normal citizen, guys. It's all right. But I saw this post on Twitter. Like, nobody scrolls more on social media than a person who hates their job. That is so true. Yeah.
What's your job?
I work at FedEx. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a stressful job.
All you do is scroll.
Yeah, a lot of things wrong with it, but you know, it pays the bills. So I ain't mad at it.
For sure.
Yeah. Let's bring in our disagreeers. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna put y'all to the test. Everybody's gotta pull out their phone, pull up their screen time, and we'll go down the circle. Let's see what our numbers are.
Okay, 4 hours and 49 minutes
I feel like mine would be crazy,
for everything.
depending on the platform.
Mine's 2 hours and 12 minutes.
I have an Apple laptop, so I think this is counting that as well. So I have 8 hours and 51 minutes.
I have 2 phones, but 3 hours and 4 minutes.
Mine's actually lower than expected. It's 7 hours and 44 minutes.
Okay, this is about to look insane. Mine's 16 hours, 18 minutes. I promise you I have a life and I go outside.
Oh, it's okay, buddy. You shouldn't be ashamed. It's lower than it's 5 hours and 24 minutes. It's not that bad. Wow.
Mine's 5 hours on the dot.
5 hours on the dot. Thank you all for
That 16 hours is crazy.
sharing that. Who here is a creator? Is it just these two guys?
Different ways, yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of explain maybe what platforms you're active on, what you're following.
Yeah, so I volunteer for a group called Log Off, which is a student-run movement that is looking at how young people can reevaluate their relationship with social media. I run their podcast and their digital blog. I don't use zero social media, but I'm not a heavy user.
Yeah, and what's like the audience size or follower size?
The audience size of this particular podcast is around 300 listeners per episode.
Got it. And then how about you guys? Wailing, what's that?
I make music. I will create music with my friends, and I direct music videos, and you know, and I have to promote those things online. So.
And do you have some followers?
Not really, not much. Cause I'm really like mostly behind the scenes with everything. I am starting to put myself on the forefront now, so I can't keep the sexy face behind.
Me, I center more around political stuff, mainly activism within the Black community. I've done a lot of on-the-ground work recently, travel and connecting with different avenues, whether it's to get the vote out or to like advocate for certain issues and everything. So now on TikTok, I think I have around 1.3 million, and then on Instagram, it's like 155,000. It comes with a lot of like
I could definitely understand the timing of him needing to be on there based off his numbers.
expectation and pressure, but it's something that I've been able to navigate pretty well. Yeah, but that's me.
Yeah, what about you?
That's why the 16-hour thing. So yeah.
No one's judging you.
I make music as well, and I just do like video creation, make content, like daily life stuff. I have 7.2 million subscribers on YouTube, 6.7 on TikTok, and 2.4 on Instagram.
Trying to get like you, big dog. Trying to get like you.
I've always liked being in the spotlight and kind of having like my shine, I guess. So it has its pros and cons, obviously. But like for the most part, I'm blessed to be in the position I'm in, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Nice. Our next prompt is a little bit different. Participants will come in when it's true for them. So the prompt
For sure, comment below if you feel like social media can play a role on someone's like mental health. I want
is,
to know what you guys
I
thought
had
on
social media when I was 8 years old. Come in if that's true. I had social media when I was 9 years old. That's true for you. Come in. 10 years old. 11 years old. 12 years old. All right.
You didn't make it very far.
I feel like 8 years old was the age I actually started paying attention to stuff. Because I remember having social media, but I think it was exclusively YouTube. I think that might be the beginning of when I had the idea I wanted to be like a YouTuber or a content creator.
I started off on Facebook when I was about 9 years old. My older siblings were on it, my family was on it, and for me it genuinely started off as social media. But I think as it progressed, then a couple years later I got an Instagram, and then I also got Snapchat, and that's when it started to kind of go downhill, because I remember receiving inappropriate messages at 10 years old, like asking to be a sugar baby, and just things that should not be said to a child or shown to a child. And
That's OC right there. That's
my
crazy.
experience with it, where it might have started off as an innocent intention with, oh, I want to see what my sister's up to, what my friends are up to, but unfortunately it doesn't end that way.
I kind of just had YouTube, as most of you guys did, the sort of like subtle effects of watching videos where people are kind of like flaunting whatever they have, like to get like the most views. And then as a child, you're like really receptive to all of these different things. I definitely saw that come up in schools. I remember like fidget spinners were like the biggest thing ever. And if you didn't have a fidget spinner, like you're done. I don't know. It was just like what happens when people watch something online, especially at such a young age, and then like have like negative effects of that.
And I would say too with that, influencer culture has led to so much mass overconsumption. I was into like beauty videos where they talked about
for sure truth to that.
fashion and makeup tutorials, and it's like they have
I
like a
definitely
whole
feel
new
like
set of makeup
people
for like every single
overconsume
month, and
because
new
of
clothes
social
for every
media.
single month. And realistically, the average person does not need to consume that much. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for your wallet. Like it's like I think you develop the mindset that like money can bring you happiness, and then that can also lead to other issues. Like a lot of influencers, at least back in my day, were very thin, and I was a kid, and I should not have been wishing that I was thinner at 10 years old. That is ridiculous. So I think it kind of leads to unrealistic expectations, both in consumerism and whether it's like your body and just how you feel about yourself.
I do like that point. A lot of things that I like to focus on though is like trying to address root causes of certain issues and everything. So I would say that I don't know if those problems are necessarily brought about by influencer culture. I think right now, because social media is such a prolific way of us communicating, we can
That's like a taboo topic because I feel like both sides have responsibility.
easily pick apart that is a problem with like overconsumption, or that's a problem with like body image and everything, but we didn't take the time to evaluate the social systems that created those conditions before the time of social media. It is true in the sense that like social media does not help to ease a lot of those problems, but I feel like it's just an amplification of problems that were there before everyone had the ability to like turn their phone on and say something.
That's true.
At 11, I feel like I was at like a certain level of maturity that I knew not to compare myself to other people. And I feel like that's what helped me have a positive experience. For instance, there's this one creator named Alona Mar, and she helped me like feel at place because I play a somewhat more like manly sport. So I was like, I'm a bit different from everyone else, and social media like created a sense of home to me.
What sport do you play?
I play rugby and field hockey.
We are casting parents and their kids ages 7 to 11 for a special episode of Middle Ground. The pairs will sit down and discuss their hopes and dreams for the future, their relationship as parent and child, and they'll dig into discussions of frustrations, but also their love for one another. Apply at the link below.
Social media should have an age requirement. If you agree, please step forward.
For sure, agree 1,000%.
Nobody at Instagram or nobody at TikTok has to make it that decision to show the harmful product or trend to a child. It's all done autonomously via an algorithm, whereas like if you're talking about Disney Channel cartoons that might perpetuate harmful stereotypes or something, like there is at least a human level where you can intervene and exercise some sort of moral discretion.
Also, with no federal privacy legislation, it's just we're putting so many kids' data at risk, and they don't necessarily know the harms of what to share, what not to share. I know when I was younger, I wish I didn't post certain things, and I think people are going to grow up and have that digital trail behind them, that digital footprint of things maybe they wish they didn't post due to a lack of child online safety legislation. That puts everyone at a big risk, especially children.
If your child is 13 but they have like the social awareness of an 8-year-old, do not give them social media under like any circumstance. But there already is like age limits, like on TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram. It's like 12 and up, I think. I don't know, it might have
13 is the age of adulthood on the internet.
Okay, 13. But if you're not mature enough, it's just a parent's
I think that the maturity definitely has to do more with the age as well.
decision. Be like,
If anything,
you're
more
not
than
ready,
age.
I'm sorry, but no, and you have to respect that.
So you think there should be a requirement, but it should be enforced by parents, not like
Yes.
a law?
Yeah, it's kind of just a parent's decision to me.
Gotcha. Let's bring in our disagreeers.
I was a kid once, so it didn't matter like what age limit was on there. I was gonna sneak on and lie or anything. So it's just like, I understand we should, put regulations on social media, but that also kind of like takes away from the responsibility and accountability of the parents not informing their children of what goes on the internet. And a lot of parents are just negligent in that. They use social media to pacify instead of teaching this kid how to use this responsibly. That's up to the parents. You need to teach your child, you need to take care of your child and raise your kid. That's up to you.
There's so much literature out there that you can find equal amounts that'll say this will have this amount of effect on your mental health, this will have this detrimental effect on XYZ, and the same amount of studies will say this helps bring broader activism to the table and organize people in a certain way. Then you can find more that are like, it creates alienation or whatever. You're going to be able to find every single thing that's negative and positive about it. The issue being the practicality of having a restriction that's like hard enforced when it comes to like age limits. It's just what happens when inevitably these students who are going to find a way to communicate
style and substance in the
with each other get on that social media anyway. Who's held liable for that? I feel like once you run into putting those hard limits on things, I don't think that this is as clear-cut as an issue enough to be able to have that concrete barrier.
I agree with these last 2 points.
Even if the jury is still out, like in the academic discourse about whether or not social media is directly responsible for a lot of the teen mental health crisis, and even if I'll grant you that, let's say, a lot of the harms that you observe on social media are downstream of older cultural issues, we're still in the midst of the largest teen youth mental health crisis that we've seen in decades. Thousands of children are dying writ large if you look across the globe, even in countries that don't have the same economic models, even in countries that don't have the same cultural institutions. The teen mental health crisis starts everywhere, and it happens when people get online.
Quick follow-up I have is, for people who think there should be an age requirement, what do you think an appropriate age is?
16 to create an account.
16.
You can view if you're on YouTube, or TikTok's a little different, but you can view. You can't create an account.
I think 12, 13.
Unless you're 16, is what I would say.
So the age of driving a car.
Yeah, and a lot of others, like signing into contracts, right?
Yeah. What about you? You guys?
I honestly, maybe this is a little extreme, but 21, because I understand it's a little extreme, but isn't that when your brain finally is at the point of
25. You're looking at me like
I know.
25
That
is
frontal
a little sooner for women.
cortex, what is it, is developed.
So you see it more as kind of alcohol, like a substance maybe?
Because honestly, I feel like social media is addicting. At least my friends, something that I have a hard time with them.
I agree with that.
It's I'll be on FaceTime with them and they'll just be scrolling on TikTok for 8 hours, and I'll just be like, what's the point of me being on the phone with you if I'm not able to talk to you? The algorithm is so scary. Isn't it built by people who make slot machines. And
The element of the pull down, I think, is kind of inspired by it.
exactly, and like, I don't know. I definitely 100,000% agree with you on like, how do you even define mentally ready to go on such an app like social media?
I totally agree with what everyone has said. I think it's very hard to enforce at a policy level. People are going to lie. Same thing that happens with smoking, with drinking. People do it before the age requirement. But I do think it's important for parents to emphasize this to their children, for our culture as a whole to understand that there are negative consequences to using social media too young.
When you hear those ages, what comes to mind?
I mean, I think it was you who said 16?
That's right.
16? I just, me personally, I find that a little bit baffling. Obviously the position I'm in, and just trying to wrap my head around that the age where you can operate a motored vehicle is the same age you can be on social media. I just feel like that.
For sure, comment if you got to this point, what age you think the restriction should be.
So unrealistic, you know what I mean? I feel like that's unrealistic, and like you said, it's hard to, you know, people are always going to find a way to bypass age verifications and things like that, and same thing with smoking and drinking, and all those things are done before the proper age, and I feel like pushing it and making it higher makes people want to do it more.
Well, and that's why it wouldn't be a complete ban. It would just say you can't create an account and post it and engage in like the ways that a lot of users do. A lot of people I talk to credit like the early benefits of YouTube or TikTok as like, this taught me something that I would never learn in school, and like that's so powerful.
Yeah.
And you still get to do that. This way.
I mean, I get it. Like, and then there's a lot of kids who are going through like terrible stuff right now, and TikTok's all they have. That's how they made all their friends, because they can't make a friend at school.
We're in that age.
I know how that was, man. Like, I was that kid. I couldn't make a friend, so yeah, man. I mean, but yeah, I understand.
There are a lot of people who've built a lot of stuff, whether it comes to friend groups or just getting through issues or whatever through social media, where it's like, I don't know what effect like having a you can't create an account until this age or whatever would have on those people too.
I think also, I agree with what you're saying. I work in social media reform, and what we want to do is we want to increase the social part of social media. And what you're talking about, what I hear is you're talking about the social benefits of social media, like putting the social in social media. But to go back to what Sophia was saying, social media is created with the intermittent variable reward system, which basically triggers random rewards at different times, whether that's a like on a post or a comment or a new follower, whatever the case may be, to maximize your attention span. And with that, we're seeing such a rise in different attention deficit disorders, anxiety, and I think it's unfair to set our kids up for failure. So while there are benefits, I think if we can maybe pull the best from social media, a messaging app or something that doesn't directly rely on giving your information to show you targeted ads to keep you on the algorithm longer, because that's the whole profit model of social media. And that's where it gets dangerous for young people. We're extracting their information to keep them on a screen longer, to show them the perfect algorithm, to then show them targeted ads, which then makes the platform money. So I think we're giving our kids anxiety and like giving them an addiction. We're giving them like a slot machine in their pocket, basically.
She makes a very valid point.
I think if we can put the social back in social media, I would be in support of younger people having it. But with the current state now, I think a child has no business being on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, anything that's going to be extracting their data for the company to profit from.
There are things online I do that nobody knows about. Will the agreeers please step forward?
I think everybody should be stepping forward, man.
Obviously there's things I look up, there's websites I use. Just browsing for my curiosity, like as a person, it's like, I feel like I wouldn't want my friends to know this, I wouldn't want my parents to know this. And I think that's a good part about the internet, because there's certain things that you may be too embarrassed to talk about with other people that you can do online.
I had a phase where I really wanted to be like a video game streamer and an influencer. All that content is now permanently wiped from the internet. Conversations and speech I engaged in when that was where I was in life, online, on Discord and on Reddit, that is all now permanently gone.
Do you mind, if you're comfortable, being a little more specific? Like, why did it feel like you needed to erase that?
It wasn't because it was like damning or anything or particularly bad or incriminating. It was just that's not who I wanted to be anymore. I was doxxed twice.
Why did they do that?
It's because it's silly. It's just like trolling. You just meet people online, right? It was scary, but shortly after that, I decided I was going to do everything in my power, not only to get myself offline, but
now I'm curious to what he had to delete, man.
Start getting other people to think about how they could maybe live better lives if they were offline.
All right, let's bring in our disagreeers.
There's like nothing really to hide, because you can't hide anything on social media. It's all open. You have to be an open book, and if you're not really ready for that, then I don't think you should have social media. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing social media since I was like 9 years old, so my like, me from a baby to like now is like all documented, so it's like, it's just me. So.
And can you remember?
Grew up on social media.
You can go back to like being 9 and remember the content you were making then versus now?
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time.
I feel like for me, it creates more of a sense of privacy, like in a separation away from the internet, because it's like as much as I love being on the internet, I don't love being on the internet. Like I don't gotta be on it 24/7. So it's like, again, I'm still me and I'm still authentic, like when I'm in front of a camera, but there are aspects of my personality that I'm like, okay, that's for me. So yeah, y'all won't, yeah.
I also just want to add that most of the instant messaging that I do doesn't happen through like iOS text or WhatsApp. It happens through like encrypted apps and other channels. So I definitely do see the value in being able to have this like separate outlet that's completely private and completely insulated from the real world that you can have online. Like that's such a valuable thing that should be talked about and celebrated more.
I consume most of my news through social media. If you agree, step forward.
I consume most of my news from like TikTok and Instagram, stuff like that, but I know to take it with a grain of salt because nothing is like 100% guaranteed. This might
I think we all do.
have happened, but I really don't know because social media is not a reliable source.
Yeah, I mean, similar to what she said, I consume it very lightly because I also live in a world of entertainment where I know everything on social, like 99% of things on social media are fake, and for entertainment purposes, I look at it and I'm like, oh, really? I wonder if that's true. Next.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to nowadays. I mean, that's where everybody congregates and like goes on to. But you also get on the ground news. Like you get on the ground stuff where people are part of those things. I would have never realized what's going on in Palestine, Congo, Haiti, Sudan. Like I would have never knew about any of that stuff until like.
Yeah, like social media is like the advanced platform of the internet.
Seen those videos and those posts about that. It's kind of hard.
The problem is a lot of it's false though.
Like anything like that, because it's starting to seem like more propaganda. They don't want to talk about the things that we know or like know are happening.
So you have a distrust of like legacy media almost as much or more than social media?
It's recently grown, yeah, like the distrust has recently grown.
I think for me, my first point of contact with news and update is probably almost always going to be social media. I'll usually see something and then be like, oh, is that true? And then I'll Google it. When I first see stuff on social media, a lot of those platforms do lie and misrepresent. I actually had like a very public back and forth with the Shade Room because I called them out for misrepresenting a story when the Maui fires were happening. It made me realize a lot of social media platforms are fake and for the
That's the scary part of it.
click
And the
and for the
influence. 'cause
engagement. They
people
might tell you
believe.
some of the story, but they will tell you the ones that get them the engagement.
It's all
Let's
about the
bring in our
clickbait.
disagreeers. We had a clean cut.
We'll say, yeah, where do y'all get your news from?
I love the New York Times and Washington Post, honestly. Like, I have the apps on my phone. I have the little
too.
breaking news alerts. I read the morning, email newsletter every day from New York Times. I love it. And then it, like, gives the little links to where, like, you can read more on stories. And I really like that for me. I work in the tech space a lot, so I get a lot of my news from tech-specific podcasts. I really like Your Undivided Attention by the Center for Humane Technology. There's also one specifically for social media reform called Scrolling to Death, which I really like.
The morning ritual, you gotta do the like little New York Times games and then you can like start reading the little articles that are up for the day.
That is so real. Me too, girl.
Because like social media, you guys definitely talked about it before, but it's kind of like when you first hear about something, you can get
I like these two girls.
Like
I like where they at.
preconceived notion and kind of have a bias at first. And if you don't, I'm sure you guys do, but a lot of people don't take that extra step to like research more. Like they'll say something and they'll disagree with your opinion and you'll be like, oh, where did you hear that from? And they'll be like, TikTok. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Like you got to research a little bit more first before you start going around saying like certain things to other people.
I read a lot of print media. I read mostly New York Times, Washington Post, and Wall Street Journal. I read a lot of independent Substack columns. It's like this blogging platform, if people don't know.
I read a lot of Substack.
There's no social media platform to me that's conducive to fleshing out ideas in the way that I like to have them fleshed out for my own brain to work. And so I enjoy long-form text-based mediums. Apart from Substack, I currently haven't found an online platform that does that. So.
Kind of ashamed to say I get most of my news from my friends and my family. I don't have social media, like I said, and that is actually one reason I think I like kind of want to go back. I feel less informed about the world. I use the excuse that I'm too busy to read the news, but I just don't like reading. So yeah,
I feel that. I do it a lot, but I feel that.
Yeah.
You guys
I think that's another reason social media is taking over too.
feel like you're put in a better position to question where they're getting their information from? Because I know when you see it a lot on social media, you can tell like, oh, obviously this person is trying to do X, Y, Z. It's like, do you accept more what they say at like face value, or do you still keep that, okay, it's the New York Times, but let me still question where they...
I think there's a tradition of rigorous fact checking and at least an attempt to be true to the story in legacy media, right? And I don't believe that social media incentivizes people who are posting news to have any of those same best practices, nor do I believe like companies like Meta or TikTok are actually capable of discerning like what is true and what is false.
I think too, in the age of generative AI, it's tricky because before generative AI, before ChatGPT became very mainstream, social media did not have mis and disinformation figured out. I think it was Europol that predicted that in a year or two, 90% of all information on social media would be artificially generated, which is horrifying.
That's scary
to me. So I was just curious, for those who do get your news sources,
because it's going to all be about analytics.
How do you discern what is a reliable source and what's not, especially when I feel like our attention spans have been weakened? Do you take the time to click on the article or research further, and how does that process go for you?
I really just don't have time. Like when I do find information or like a story I really genuinely care about, I go online, I go to a credible like source, and I look and I research about it. But other than that, I really just can't worry about it too much.
I mean, yeah, I'll just go Google it, or sometimes I'll ask ChatGPT about it.
I guess just like there's
ChatGPT is the internet.
so much information online. How do you discern what's worth fact checking? And if you don't fact check it, do you think that creates a bias in your mind?
In the same way that there's a lot of trust and faith in certain institutions, whether it's like legacy media when it comes to like a New York Times or whatever, and that you really determine that based off like track record, and you deem that like, okay, well, I've checked on what they're talking about, usually they're not misrepresenting it. I don't have time to do it for literally every single thing, but most of the time if I've caught myself a couple times where I'll see something and I'll be like, dang, that really happened? And I'll go the rest of the day thinking that might have happened. And I was like, wait, actually, hold on. All right, let me like really think about it. But I think mainly determining based off like, all right, is this a platform that has lied in the past? Making sure that you can at least find somewhere where they get the source from. But I think where people fall is that they just kind of accept it as like, oh yeah, I believe that, therefore it must have happened. It's like, nah, you gotta, because they could be lying to you too, even if they're trustworthy.
I've written a hate comment or hate DM. Will the agreeers please step forward?
I've been in a situation where I have, but I went back and deleted it. Just because I don't want my digital footprint to have something crazy.
No one here has ever written a hate comment? I don't think so.
Writing on celebrities' profile.
All right. Anyone ever shit posted, trolled?
I think they well enough.
I'll agree to the hate comment, but I won't. I'll explain.
Okay.
I don't have particulars, but I know it's probably happened.
Okay, so no to hate comment, but maybe on trolling?
Yeah.
All right, come on in.
I feel like hate's a strong word, but I had an argument in the comment section. But hate, I don't think I've ever like hated on an individual person or like what they were doing through a comment. I feel like that's kind of a waste of time.
For sure, bro.
I mean, yeah, similar to what he said, I've never expressed a heavy like hatred towards somebody in
arguing with a keyboard, realistically.
a comment section or something of that sort. I've just given an opinion on something I've disagreed with.
How many layers of an argument have you gone? How many times have you gone back to an argument?
I've had like paragraphs. Like it was bad. Maybe like a total of like 10 responses. This is when I had the time to do that, maybe when I was like 13, 14. You could read like dissertation length, like arguments and talking points, whatever, with one or two people in a comment section just over something that it was super passionate about. Good thing nowadays I don't. I can't. You kind of just gotta let people express and think what they think.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, so I've never really had it out for somebody in the comments, or I mean, I guess trolling's a different thing, but I grew up, I was really into video games, and a lot of the culture surrounding that ends up in what I just call like low-level insults where you're just looking to get a reaction out of people. So I definitely
I know you've had some crazy
partook in that when I was
comments,
a lot younger.
But
I've never really looked at somebody that I need to ruin their day online.
Totally. Okay, let's bring in our disagreeers. Or our liars.
Yeah, I mean, I probably lied a little bit. Like, I mean, I didn't lie on purpose, but there's definitely been some disagreements similar to what's already been said. A lot of the time, I think that can really affect someone because I've had it affect me, and I just think there's no place for that. So I usually try to be the bigger person. It's hard sometimes, but it's the best thing to do in my opinion.
I've definitely noticed on social media, people can kind of take advantage of the fact that they're not looking at people face to face, so they can take their personal
That's why people just say what they want to.
beliefs and like polarize them to the max. And then if they find someone that they disagree with, they'll really charge at them just because a lot of the time people think that their beliefs are better than others, or they feel like they have to shut other people down.
And if you go on any social media platform and look at nearly any post that's not like on a private account, you'll see so many hate comments. For what reason? It's like a cooking video and it's like, this recipe looks trash. Like, and it's so ridiculous because something I've noticed a lot, I'm a Taylor Swift fan, and in a lot of videos of Taylor Swift, it's telling Swifties to go kill themselves or anything really extreme. And it's like people can hide behind a screen and take this to the extreme, commenting on someone they don't know or groups they don't know about, whether that's politics, art, entertainment, whatever the case may be. If it's not directly
For sure, superb like downfall with like social media and the internet.
to a private account,
Like, it's not
I think
like
it's
regulated
so easy
with people
to kind
being
of
able to say what they
project
want to.
whatever
and then-
opinions that you want and hide behind a screen.
Who here's received a hate DM or a hate comment?
All the time.
Yeah.
It's a lot. What are those like?
I really don't care.
Yeah.
I don't even argue in real life. If you want to cry, just be in your diaper and go in the corner. It doesn't really matter to me.
I mean, I'd say I'm pretty similar. I've never like been able to look at a hate comment and let it affect me. Me being a person who grew up in the entertainment industry, I kind of got used to it. So like I was 12 years old and people were telling me everything you can imagine of a hate comment. But like even seeing that at such a young age, I just looked at
I'm
it
sure with him though, that was just jealousy.
and never really like, I kind of laugh at it. I almost feel sorry for that person.
There was a time when I was much younger when a lot of hate comments, especially pertaining to like my body image, really did contribute to a lot of my insecurities when I was like 12, 13, 14. And that's really, really dangerous to have young people exposed to. I agree that this is kind of just an internet problem, right? Inherent internet problem that you might not be able to solve. But I would also encourage people to think about like what are the things that are driving all this hate online when most people, I think, would agree that if they go out in their neighborhood, in their communities, they'll see markedly less hate. There's a lot of people that become humanized when you speak to them face to face. So what is it about? It's different about digital platforms that encourages people to be the worst version of themselves.
Yeah.
Anyone now can be famous, and that is a good thing. If you agree, please step forward.
That's a strong word. But I understand where he's coming from for sure.
Yeah, the phrasing can be, it's like interesting. I think it takes a certain type of person to be famous and grow a following, but social media definitely gives more people an avenue to get there. I think that's a great thing for representation.
If you like live in a small town and you look different from everyone else, and then you see someone online and you're like, oh, they look like me. Now I feel like more comfortable being myself.
So you're both kind of thinking of it as like a representational benefit. All right, let's bring in our disagreeers. A lot more disagreeers.
The thought that anybody can be famous, again, like I completely agree with you. I feel like it takes a certain type of person. It's not necessarily like
Yeah, you still gotta have that charismatic like way of people wanting to follow and check what you
anyone
got
can
going
be.
out.
It's just way more broad, and I think for representation, that's very good. The other side to that being that we do not want certain people who are currently prolific to have the platforms that they do. Like, I don't think it should be gate-kept who should have like audience around them. But I also think that with that comes
I agree
a lot
with
of
that,
people who
for sure.
don't have people's best interests at heart. So
Andrew Tate comes to mind. Do you think, like, how do we
But that's the thing with social media though. I don't think you should take any of this with like to the heart.
decipher who should and who should have a platform, you know? Because I look at someone like that and I'm like, wow, like the fact that young boys are using this as an idol to learn from is really scary to me.
While acknowledging that there is an incredible amount of division in this country, there has been for some time, what social media has done is has turbocharged all of the extremes in our society.
The Center for Countering Digital Hate actually last year posted a report saying that Twitter alone, I want to say they're earning
I
an
was just about to say Meta and Twitter.
extra $19 million in ad revenue just from placing their ads next to hate speech accounts that Elon Musk brought back. So I think when we're having these people that are so famous, not for great reasons, they're generating profit for these social media accounts. So it's in their best favor, because whether you agree with the content or you disagree with it, if it's extreme, it's going to draw more people in because negative news attracts more people. So I think that's a really scary and dangerous thing, and that's why I don't think everyone should be famous.
Me personally, I just think there's certain people that should be famous and certain people that shouldn't be famous. I mean, I think social media very often actually has like a very big problem with making someone famous and then later down the line come out like, this person did this 5 or 10 years ago, and it's like, well, you guys kind of enabled them, so.
Like, it should be culturally developed to like, okay, this is certain red flags and things we need to start looking out for before you just blanketly trust a person online, or before you just like accept what they're saying.
That's just like in life, right?
Big problem is trying to figure
Bring
out
your
how
real
to
life
get
rules onto
people
the line.
exposed to those viewpoints, how to get people out of their bubbles. I think the other viewpoint is always just like a click away, whereas beforehand, maybe you grow up in this area where there's an accepted belief, and that's just kind of like your belief, and you're gonna live and die with that without being exposed to something else. So it's still kind of like stratified when it comes to social media, but it's a lot more likely that you can see something different that you didn't expect, as opposed to like what it used to be.
Social media has altered my personality. If you agree,
this is a great question. Definitely comment at the bottom if you agree.
Please step forward.
I would say it has for me,
Social
but
media
in
has
a
altered my
good
personality,
way.
not in like necessarily a negative way. I think it's built character. I think that's a better way to put it. I think the experiences I've been through, and like being in an industry where like so many people can, you know, stab your back or do you wrong, or being just let down in general by so many different people, I feel like that kind of just built character for me.
Can you go out in public?
What do you mean?
Are you that famous? Like, you have to
I mean, no, I'm not like.
You're pretty famous. Based on the numbers.
Being recognized in public for me is like, I mean, it definitely has changed the way I approach everything publicly now. I was just in Yosemite, and I went to the grocery store because we were staying in a cabin there, so we were getting a bunch of food. And this one girl recognized me, and she took a picture with me. And then I walked outside, and like 3 cars pulled up, and like so many people screaming. They're like, I hope you know the whole cheerleading team's coming to this grocery store right now. And I was like, I'm leaving. But
that's crazy. That's never that's never happened to me. I've been recognized a couple of times. Like, it happened to me twice. One time in the airport. It's a unique experience, but like most of the time it's just chill. I feel like when it comes to building or like affecting my personality, I think in my position it's influenced me to realize that I'm like a lot more outgoing and should be a lot more confident in my abilities.
I'm sure like it just like you said, builds exposure and character.
Things, but I think like on a base level, I think it's made me more emotionally mature, because I feel like I've always kept that thought in mind that like no matter what I see on social media, like a lot of it is the best moment in people's lives.
Yeah, I'm not on social media anymore, but the way
that was a bar.
I interpreted the prompt is like when I'm on social media, I'm kind of upholding a persona. Even though I don't have a big following or anything, I just feel like I have to interact with people in a different way than I do in person. And that was one of the reasons I was like, this is too much for me. I'm putting too much energy into something that I don't think is gonna give me anything meaningful in the end. I couldn't be myself, if that makes sense.
I think social media, when I had social media, it just made me more insecure. I had such confidence issues for like a fat minute, because I always thought like, oh, if I post something compared to when this person posts something, like, oh, they get more likes than I do. Getting off of social media has allowed me to like find more confidence in myself and like what.
I've definitely had to like find my own schedule and own way of getting off social media, because I found at one point in time I was on it a little too much.
I'm interested in, and like
so I feel
just
like that's
overall
just something you personally have to want to
like
do.
What I like to think is like the
figure
best version, or constantly working on the best version of myself.
I really like that. And I think when I was on Instagram, I had a similar situation where I would compare the likes I got on a picture compared to what my friends got. And it's just human nature to compare. I know we say we shouldn't, but everyone compares at least a little bit. And I think it kind of made me feel more superficial about certain things. And whether it was about my looks or an Instagram caption, things that like I really shouldn't be thinking too much about. But I think at that time I was a superficial version of myself, and now I feel a lot more authentic, and I think that's how social media has altered my personality. That the absence of social media has made me feel more authentic.
I want to ask, could any of you guys see a future in which you like never interact with social media?
I think I could go without Instagram. I don't have Snapchat, I don't have Twitter, I don't use Facebook. I do use LinkedIn for professional purposes. If we're considering YouTube a social media, of course, like there's educational information on YouTube. What is considered social media, a lot of us can't go without it, whether it's like messaging apps, but I think a lot of can go without like infinite scroll algorithm apps.
Yeah, and I'll just say I'm not a large influencer like any of you, but I do have networking needs. A lot of the advocacy groups that I interface with, they primarily have their presence on Twitter or on Instagram. That's how I do outreach. That's how I look for people to appear on my podcast. And I wouldn't wish for anybody to have to live without those benefits.
Okay, we have to wrap this up. So final thoughts, keep it brief, but you're talking to Gen A. The next,
we're there.
the next,
We're there.
if you had to give advice to Gen A on how they should
It's funny seeing them say that. How you think I feel looking at y'all?
engage with social media, keep it quick, but what would you say?
I would say to be intentional with your social media use. Try to put the social back in social media and use it as a tool to strengthen your social relationships, not as a distraction from the world.
For sure, I like that.
Keep in mind that there is a huge power imbalance between you as the user and whoever created the algorithm. There is a profit incentive behind Meta, TikTok, Instagram, all of these companies, and it's going to direct each and every aspect of your experience on the platform like you are not in control.
If you have a passion, chase it. Don't let people discourage you from it. Don't waste time comparing yourself to people. It's something that you probably will do at a certain point, but just know that it's not
Like I said, don't waste time doing it though.
everything, and there's a world outside of these people that you might meet on social media. Always do what you got to do to make sure that you keep a head on your shoulders, because you never want to get too much of anything is bad. So always make sure you have that moderation with anything else.
I would say social media is such a highlights reel, and know that everyone goes through those up and downs. It's just that they only post the ups because that's what they want to brag about to everyone on social media. And just always be yourself and never act like someone that you aren't.
All right, thanks guys, this was a nice discussion.
That's a wrap.
Man, I kind of wanted to hear from my guy with all of the other followers, but definitely a dub video for Jubilee. For like I said, for sure, comment some of your moments at the bottom. I want to know, do you guys feel that phones and social media is an addictive thing, and you can cause a person to have like an addictive personality within it? I appreciate you guys like always. Make sure to continue to like and subscribe. Make sure to comment. Make sure to follow Mickeyswave on all platforms. Follow Godly Crown on all platforms. Go to godlycrown.com, get you some merch, and yeah, I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one.